the reaction's been incredible. Not only with broker partners, but with our real estate agent partners as well. Like they feel so seen, and they just felt like this helps them explain to their families what they do every day. And the commercial, like literally people were in tears. I was so I was getting so many messages. It was just so cool.
I'm Diego Sanchez, president of Housing Wire, and this is a special 10-minute talk presented by Rocket Pro. I'm joined today by Dan Sogorka, general manager of Rocket Pro, and Katie Sweeney, EVP of strategy and broker advocacy at Rocket Pro. You're both new to Rocket. What attracted you to the company and your role? Starting with you, Dan.
Yeah, sure. Good to be here, Diego. Thanks for having us. For the first time in my career, I took some time off after my last gig and was super intentional around what I wanted to do. So I took 8 months off. I probably started with a list of 50 companies. I looked at stuff inside mortgage. I looked at stuff outside mortgage. And I was really looking for a couple things. I wanted a scaled opportunity. I wanted to do something where technology was really in the forefront. And I wanted to work with a team and a culture that really resonated with me. So as I kind of narrowed my list down, I went from 50 to like 3. And one day I was just like, you know what? If I don't do this Rocket thing, like I'm going to be really bummed out. Like I suddenly got really excited about it because it hit all the elements that I was looking for. I really enjoyed even meeting the people that I didn't know. And this opportunity to work with the broker community was really interesting because I felt like Rocket could really bring scale and technology into local communities in a way that had never really been done before. And I really liked kind of the small business aspect of it. And so it hit on so many levels that I just decided this is where I wanted to be. And, 5 months later, I'm really happy I made the call.
So take that incredible tech stack that has been built and is continuing to be built and translate that into the Rocket Pro business and give it to the brokers that you work with.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Amazing. How about you, Katie? What was exciting to you about the role in the company?
Yeah, so Dan and I actually had similar experiences. We just started on opposite ends of the spectrum where he's been working with such large enterprises throughout his career and has built an incredible track record of being able to grow and scale across the board. The last 7 or 8 years of my life have been largely focused around helping small businesses from the ground up. And how do we sort of grassroots effort our way through democratizing the industry and making it accessible for small businesses? And that's technology. That's also more traditional advocacy work that we're doing in Washington, D.C. A lot of that has to do with creating local leaders and working with our broker partners to do that. And so when I took a step back, I really wasn't that interested in getting back on the lending side. I was really focused on finding a way to expand the work that we were doing through the Broker Action Coalition to keep focusing on a lot of the work that we did at Arrive and at AIM that allowed us to support the community in ways that were unique to each individual small business. And Dan and I have crossed paths in the past. And so he reached out in the fall, and it became very apparent to me through the last 12 to 18 months that the perception of who Rocket is and how Rocket engages with broker partners is maybe not totally accurate. There's a lot of misconceptions that exist, a lot of things that I started to learn behind the scenes, particularly through government affairs and legislative work, and seeing how Rocket was not only supporting the industry, but supporting the channel without even directly being asked to do so. We were on similar coalitions together with the MBA. We had an opportunity to cross paths a lot. And so when he approached me with the opportunity, this is actually the only lender that I got past the first phone call with. I had probably 10 or 12 in the last 18 months that had approached me with great teams and great businesses and people who are doing some really unique stuff. But a combination of both Dan and the new leadership team at Rocket paired with the resources and the commitment to the channel that already exists and the opportunity to continue to grow that, I couldn't turn it down.
So you feel like you can continue to advocate for brokers and work with brokers, but under the Rocket umbrella?
Absolutely. And I think we're doing a lot to extend that reach, right? It's been Rocket first in a lot of the initiatives that have taken place, and that will continue. But we're also starting to bring our broker partners to the forefront even more and making sure that we're pairing the industry perspective with that of the broker space. Rocket's done an incredible job with government affairs in the past. Like I said, they've always been a champion of the industry. They've quietly been a champion of the broker channel, and they've just never really gotten credit for it. And so I think we'll be able to continue expanding a lot of the work that we were doing through the back. Dan has made that commitment. Varun has made that commitment. Every leader within the company Bill Emerson's made that commitment. Before I even joined, said, we want you to keep doing what you're doing. We just have more resources and more firepower over here for you to be able to do it at scale and help even more people. I've belabored this point over and over again in interviews in the past. My singular mission has always been help people help more people. I think we can expand our reach to consumers through empowering small businesses and local leaders. And Rocket's given me the platform and the opportunity to do that at a scale that I didn't know was possible.
That's amazing. I love it. So I was really, really inspired by the Super Bowl ad on Sunday. I just loved it. And I loved cutting back to the stadium and having that song continued. It was just really an amazing experience, a really amazing marketing experience. Katie, I know you're new to Rocket Pro, but how are your broker partners responding to that inspiring Own the Dream ad?
I think people are really loving it. The conversation on social media has been really exciting. You never know when you put new creative out. You have hopes that people will resonate with it and they'll understand the intent behind it, but you don't know until it happens. And to see how conversations have gone viral over the last few days and where we know it's going to continue to go in the future it's a really exciting time. It is truly about representing every consumer out there the same way that we want to represent every broker out there. And this whole concept of owning the dream is, yes, it's homeownership, but it's also owning your own small business. And there's so many ways for this to not just be a singular flash in the pan or a campaign that exists today. It's a movement. It's where we're going to continue to go moving forward. And I think our partners see that. I think they're excited about it. I think we're doing everything we can from the Rocket side of things to make sure that every American understands homeownership is still a part of their future. It is still something they can look forward to. It's still something that they can plan for and count on. And we want to be able to highlight as many of our partners as possible to help make that dream a reality.
Dan, let's dive in a little bit more there. How do you see Rocket Pro translating this consumer message of Own the Dream from the Super Bowl and subsequent campaigns into the wholesale channel?
Yeah. So when I first saw this, kind of the start of this and the words Own the Dream probably 60 days ago, I was just so excited because it like immediately resonated for me with our broker partners. And I knew they were going to be blown away. And the reaction's been incredible. Not only with broker partners, but with our real estate agent partners as well. Like they feel so seen and they just felt like this helps them explain to their families what they do every day. Mm-hmm. And, the commercial, like literally people were in tears. I was so I was getting so many messages. It was just so cool when you work on something and you actually bring it. And like Katie says, you hope and you believe it's going to really resonate. And then when it does, it's such a satisfying feeling. So Katie touched on it a bit. I mean, we see this as like such American dream stuff, right? It's like own the dream, help everyone home. These are small businesses, scrappy entrepreneurs in their own communities. Something like 50% of our purchase volume is first-time homeowners. So like this is like the real nitty-gritty stuff that brings America together, right? Like we talked about it internally, but it's like 92% of people believe that homeownership is foundational to the American dream, right? And like 92% of people today don't agree on anything. And we really felt like we could rally around that and bring America together. And it's just super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably can't get 90% of the people to agree that the sky is blue, right? Like, but they agree that homeownership is the American dream. So staying with you, Dan, how are you approaching 2025, in terms of winning market share in wholesale? Because at the end of the day, I imagine that's what you were brought into Rocket to do.
Yeah, I mean, we see a lot of areas to really expand the business, and we want to continue to give our partners, again, the tools and opportunities to grow their business where we both win, right? We talk about us being America's most trusted homeownership team. And that's, again, giving them tools to make their job more efficient, delivering them AI at scale, again, delivering the branding at scale that where they can now go out and be proud to be partnered with Rocket, and consumers, can talk to them and say, wow, I saw that Rocket commercial. That really resonated with me. Do you work with Rocket? And they can say, of course we do, right? It's like, how can Rocket, with our size and scale, push our chips forward with them so they can live a lot bigger than what their small company might be able to do. And again, technology, service, changing the narrative, right? A lot of what we're doing with Katie, again, is getting our message out there, not only in terms of advocacy, but really in the broker community of like, hey, these are all the things we're doing to help you. So I'm really excited to deliver some game-changing technology that we haven't even talked about yet out in the market, but that we have coming. That's super exciting. And partnering with our brokers in a lot of creative ways that we haven't done before. So I think you're going to continue to hear a lot from us in 2025. We're really excited to help everyone home.
Katie, following up on that question, where do you see your role in broker advocacy fitting into Dan's vision for Rocket Pro's growth in 2025?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that I loved about this opportunity is that Dan and I were very aligned in understanding advocacy means a lot of different things. There's advocacy in DC and in state houses, and that's a little bit more straightforward in what we want to do to improve the regulatory environment and what sort of legislative initiatives are going to make sense, not just for the industry, but for small businesses and the consumers that they serve. But there's also an advocacy component internally. And I think Rocket has been moving so fast and so furious, and they've built this incredible business that part of my role is making sure that the broker perspective is always included in those conversations going forward. I think they always have been. I just don't think people have known about it. And so we really want to be able to shine a light and highlight all of the work that the teams internally are doing, how we're going to take these big enterprise style decisions and make them accessible and available to small businesses from coast to coast, and really encourage every broker owner to run their business the way that they want to run it. Every consumer wants to be served in an individualistic way. We want to make sure that we're providing every consumer with the opportunity to work with a loan officer who makes the most sense for their needs. We want to do the same thing for our broker partners. One of the things that's super unique and really fun about the wholesale channel is that every person runs their business specific to their market, their team, the way that their brain works, how they see the opportunity for growth, how they want to serve the people in their space. And we want to provide as many tools as possible to help them do that in whatever way best fits their business model. So I think there's advocacy across the board to be done. And I think we've only seen the beginning from the wholesale space. There's been so much growth the last 7 or 8 years, but we're still at the tip of the spear. There are so many consumers that can be served by people who understand their experiences, have similar backgrounds, have shared perspective on their view of the world and homeownership and their families and how they've gotten to this point in their life and where they want to go. We just want to do everything that we can to empower them as much as possible and utilize the tools that Dan has helped leading to develop and make sure that everybody gets access to them.
So scaled technology and service partnered with the local expertise that the brokers provide. It sounds like a really interesting and winning formula to me. Dan and Katie, really appreciate you joining me on this special 10-minute talk today.
Thanks so much
for having us.